Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Aram. It's a very legit intro, Daren, so don't laugh at us. If you have not gotten your tickets yet for the Real Coaches Summit, at this point, Aram, are there any pre-sales left?
Pre-sale's gone. We're at regular price now, but we are
losers.
47 days away as of today. And yeah, just get on it. Stop fucking waiting.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. And don't forget to use the code ARAM at every single supplement website and see if it works.
Yeah, just try it. Try it. I know you do get a 20% off discount at brazzers.com, so you can try that.
Is that how you pronounce that? Brazzers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you would know.
I would.
We are with our most organic guest yet, the king of anti-marketing, drinking out of a mason jar. This guy walks around barefoot and creates art that I like. And if we get a video, this is, even though right now, oh, he's got bare feet. Look at that. I told you. This is the sticker pack that you can pick up from our man Daren Thomas Magee.
What's up?
You might have heard of shitty artists like Van Gogh or Mozart, but we got a real one with us today. Daren, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for that plug. What are you guys plugging? What's you coaching, or you like?
We do online. I do nutrition, and okay. Aram does like all around fitness, nutrition, everything. And he started a summit, a conference.
Cool.
And this will be the third year doing it, called the Real Coaches Summit.
Amazing.
So this year we are hoping to at least break even.
Yeah.
I got one more $22,000 bill I got to pay Caesars, and then I should be good.
Nice.
Labors of love, right?
Fucking cost me $100,000 over the last 2 years.
Oh my God.
It's no big deal, Daren.
Yeah, right,
he's always a victim.
That's why I have my discount code at Brazzers.
Brazzers.
Gotta get it where you can get it, right?
Yeah, and today we have a gift for our audience. They're going to get a 10% discount code at realfunwow.com, except it's going to charge them an extra 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how much we like your message.
Yeah, and that's a funny thing. There's an artist I follow who I took a lot of influence from. His name's Mr. Bingo, and he's just the most irreverent, kind of juvenile, just makes the most ridiculous art. But on Black Friday, all his prices go up. I don't know what percentage, but
that's fucking awesome.
Again, responding to the thing where like we as business owners, entrepreneurs, follow these trends and follow these well-trodden blueprints of like, here's how you're supposed to do this thing. And if you do it completely opposite, you stand out a little bit more, because like nobody, I don't know, going against the grain has always been stupid and boring to me. So I try to stand out as much as possible and fuck with the system, really. Yeah.
I think that's what we're all about here. That's why we're called the Other Side Lifestyle. That's why we look and act and operate the way that we do, because I don't want to be part of the norm. If you look around, the norm is just bad. It's bad. The bar is low, and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Hell yeah.
Daren's the host of my brother's brother, or just brother's brother?
My brother's brother, which is
my
me.
Brother's brother, which is you.
Well, am I?
And then your brother is also his brother's brother.
Yeah. That's talking about like labors of love and doing things because you enjoy it. That is the most perfect example. Like I have zero hope, intention, anything that ever coming out of that, other than once every 2 weeks, I get to meet with my brother, who I don't speak to really that much other than this podcast we do. And we talk about the most insane shit. He is a card carrying flat earther, just full bore, every conspiracy you can imagine, any truth and way you can go sideways to it. He's over here, like every single thing isn't what we believe it to be. And my head is fucking spinning at the end of every episode we do. I'm just like, I never considered that dinosaurs aren't real. And then I'm driving, I'm then like thinking like, wait a second, are dinosaurs real? And I'm actually starting to consider these fucking just outlandish things, preposterous things, but also like, what do we know? We don't know anything.
We don't know shit.
Like what the goal of that show is for me is just like, sure, like why not? I'll entertain this for an hour and a half. And then, like I said, sometimes I'm driving and I'm like, shit, I think he got to me on that one. So
Yeah.
it's insane. It's absolute insanity.
What are your brother's views on what's going on down in Antarctica? Because there's a lot of creepy shit happening down there.
Well, I mean, first of all, no down on Antarctica. When you live on a flat Earth, everything's on the same plane.
Oh, right. Yeah. Over
the ice
yonder.
falls. Yeah, exactly. Well, that can go anywhere from the Nazis are still there occupying it in secret bunkers and underground, or that's where the dome starts that covers the flat Earth. And so, yeah, certainly Antarctica is one of those secret places that we can't even get to. There's treaties and all sorts of things. Like, yeah, we should have piped him in on this, man. Jesus.
I know, right? We'll have a part 2. I love that. I love talking about all that stuff simply from the like, what if?
Sure.
Like some people like don't even want to engage in the conversation. Like that's ridiculous. I want to hear your evidence.
Yes.
That I love those conversations. And even you talking about how you starting your podcast for those reasons. Me and Aram have been doing this for over 2 years now.
Nice.
And for the exact same reason. We just wanted to talk shit to each other. We'll flirt with each other. We make fun of each other. And we've gotten to meet some really cool people in the midst of it, Yeah. So people are like, do you make money from it? No, I spend money. Right. And time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's when you're onto something that you're enjoying, like you said, just the investment in your own time. Because one of those things on the sticker sheet you held up, there's one of them says you're alive whether you like it or not. So I'd rather choose to like it, have fun with it. There's so much shit we can do on this while we're here to have fun. And, a lot of it is centered around having to try to make a living, which is such a difficult pain point for me where I'm like, man, yeah, I've chosen to live in an incredibly beautiful place that requires, I am beyond house poor. Every penny I make goes into living in this house, in this town, in this state. And honestly, like, okay, it's great. Yeah, same. Aram's the same way. It's just like, you get what you pay for when you choose a lifestyle where like, I take full advantage of this place that I live. I go running up in these mountains. I go down to the beach and I'm just like, I take advantage of it. And so I will work as hard as I need to keep it up for sure. So
I want you to actually talk about that because that's a massively important point. And I think some people will actually live in this narrative where like, I'm stuck here. Mm-hmm. And whether it's because they have children that are of a certain age and they don't want to pull them out of school. My favorite comedian, Doug Stanhope, I don't know if you know him.
Oh yeah.
Very, eccentric guy, totally against the grain, but he always talks about this idea of like, well, if the economy sucks where you live, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So fucking move. Like Get on a Greyhound bus, grab your family, go start a life somewhere else where it's more affordable. Or like, let's say you're trans or you're gay and you're working in a coal mine in Virginia. You're probably not going to be very well accepted there. So go move somewhere where you're going to be accepted and you're going to have people that are like-minded. Why do you think people in general just get trapped in these limiting beliefs? And how can people get the hell out of those?
Well, geography is a huge thing. Like I grew up in a town that was, if you want to use the word progressive or forward thinking, it's a small town in kind of a rural area of New York. And so it doesn't get an influx of new ideas. It doesn't get this energy that comes in. And so I very quickly, when I turned 18 and I went and backpack across Europe right out of high school, like 2 months after I graduated from high school, I went and backpacked across Europe. And that was.
Do you go by yourself?
By myself. Yeah. I had some money that was given to me as like throughout childhood through Christmas for like savings bonds. Like I'd get these savings bonds as like a 12-year-old. I'm like, what the hell is this? And my mom like, put it away. And I had a couple $1,000s when I graduated and, blew it all in Europe, just backpacking across the continent. So just to be able to like be exposed to the fact that there are other things out there and to take the risk to do that. Now coming back home right after that trip, I'm like, oh shit, there's nothing here for me anymore. And so, I don't know if that's for everybody to leave the place that they're from because you get comfortable. Like it's easy. Comfort is a comfortable thing. And why would you change that? Because it does require you to step out of your zone and get into a place that is unfamiliar. But that was always really exciting to me. Like I left home, and moved out to Austin, Texas, had never been there before, found an apartment on Craigslist and just moved out there with a backpack. And then from there out to Oakland. And I just like I've been all over the country trying to find the place that feels like home, but was something that I think I just had in me, this desire to kind of see what's available out there. But to your point, and Doug Stanhope's point is, if you're not happy with where you are, especially as Americans, we are so overly privileged. We can do whatever we want. And I'm sure someone will be quick to say, well, I can't afford it. Well, I've been the poorest of the poor person, and I've done things because you do what you need to in order to do what you need to. You know, it doesn't like just because you don't have enough quote unquote money, you can't like, it's just like you said, Greyhound ticket. What a perfect example. Like get on a bus and go somewhere. It's like, you have to do it. You have to make it work. It's very bootstrap mentality. I mean, a lot of what this country was built on was nobody was giving anybody anything. We made all this shit happen on our own.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's fucking dead and gone, man. It's entitlement and bitching and privilege, and my fucking disease is pathologized to the point where I can't look at my own shadow without having anxiety. And it's gotten to a point.
That's because you're a racist, Aram.
Well, I'm a racist. I'm a bigot. I hate everybody and everything. But I'm an equal opportunity racist. I hate all races. The only race that I actually like is the alien race.
Yeah.
Oh, which brings us back. We're going to see if we can unintentionally touch on every sticker on the Real Fun Wow sticker pack. One of his stickers is Earth Tourist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just said the alien race. So we got Earth Tourist. We've covered You Are Alive.
Yeah.
You need to relax, Aram.
Why?
Because you'll be dead someday.
Well,
that's another sticker.
I'm slowly getting there every single day. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm curious to hear Daren's opinion on this. You know how they always depict aliens to be these stupid fucks that just like land on our planet haphazardly and get into accidents?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
where's that?
Every movie that's ever been depicted of an alien just crash
really?
on Earth. Like with the amount of intelligence and technology they probably have, do you really think that they crash land here? No, like they fucking show up here intentionally on purpose for a real mission, and it's probably not to wipe us out or kill us. And Will Smith wouldn't be able to just punch one in the face.
That's true. Yes.
Will Smith could.
I mean, he could. He's capable of it.
If you could smack Chris Rock, you can punch an alien.
That's probably true. So I've always wondered, like, why are aliens depicted to be like so hyper intelligent, but then they can't operate their own equipment to land here?
If you ask my brother, all of that, every alien movie we see, every space movie we see is all propaganda, is done intentionally to misguide us, misdirect us. And so we now, if you were carrying on this narrative to believe that aliens are stupid and silly, when they do show up and they show themselves to be hyper intelligent and dangerous, the government will step in and take care of them, wipe them out and say, you're welcome. Now give us all your guns because we're going to need them to fight the aliens. It's just a very long game. It's a long game.
I'm assuming that your brother then is fully on board with like the next world war will be against the aliens as this 100%. Way to create a new world order and a one world government and all that kind of stuff.
All the drones out in your neighborhood are all kind of.
They are. My mother's obsessed with them. She stands outside. She goes, they're right over her house.
Still.
Right. Really?
No, they went away and then something is back. I forget how she described it, but it's different.
Okay.
And she is not a conspiracy theorist. Yeah. She trusts.
She's seeing it with her own eyes. I mean,
I'm saying the government doesn't lie to her.
Okay. Got it.
In the past, they've always, but not anymore.
Yeah.
So like when they're like, we don't know what these drones are, but we're not worried about it. We don't know what they are, but we know they're not from China. Mm-hmm. So we're not worried about it. And she's like, they don't know what they are. I'm like, they have to know what are you talking about? And then they come out, we know what they are. She's like, what's going on? They must have been misinformed. Yeah, she's a big fan of, what's the website, like Snopes or...
Oh yeah, Snopes. Yeah. Is again, I won't keep referencing my brother, but anything that we would trust as a source is already captured and has been, like nothing. There's not. That's why you just gotta, you gotta believe what you find deep in the internet. And I'm like, where do I find these? He's like, you can't even get to this stuff. It's like you, and and he's not wrong when it comes to the idea that everything is largely manipulated and controlled. And so like thinking that you can just Google the answer to something, and as if every page that comes up hasn't been carefully curated to be like to give you the information. And see, even like the Flat Earth Society, which is like a society that's sort of legitimately stands behind the idea that there's a flat Earth. He's like, that's misinformation. That was created by, let's say, the CIA. Everything's a CIA, but that was made to make the Flat Earth stuff look dumb. And so, like, exactly. So everything is just kind of a distortion. And so really, like, to me, at the end of these things, I'm like, well, I can't be bothered to be considering all of these things because it's a large investment in time to be a kind of a nut job, like to be a conspiracy theorist is a full-time job because you got to be keeping up all the fucking time with it.
What's his biggest evidence for flat Earth that you're like, where maybe you were like,
he's like every episode, he's like, dude, he's like, do I get like 1% that? And I'm like, no, like not zero. And he's like, man. We talked the other day about the simulation theory, and he's like, you're telling me you believe the simulation theory before? And I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking way the Earth is flat. And so, I don't know what it would take. And he's like, we're only at episode 10. So he's like, just give me a couple more episodes. I'll get you there. And he said, once you go flat, you never go back.
I don't listen to any podcast, but I might have to listen just so I can get fully invested in the evidence that he's providing. Ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to I have a podcast that I hardly ever update, but it's like a solo one where I just kind of talk for 20 minutes or so. But I did one when he came out to visit. We did a 3-hour podcast, like a Joe Rogan length podcast. And that one covers every fucking topic. It's a real good, just chip away at it when you're out for a run, listen for 20 minutes or whatever. It couldn't go 3 hours straight. That would drive you nuts. But that's called me. It's called Me, My Brother, and the Flat Earth. And then that's where the idea for the show, My Brother's Brother, kind of was incepted. I was like, we should just do this regularly because it's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The first problem you'd have is getting Jimmy to do anything active for 3 hours straight.
Yeah, what's the deal with all your shit? What is behind you? It's like a full gym.
He's got a makeshift gym to make it look like he exercises, but it's all a prop. So like the black couch is obviously the casting couch from porn.
Yeah,
and all the equipment
from porn in general, all porn
is filmed on that specific couch, and it's just this one precise location in New Jersey, and all of that equipment is for rent for any props that you need for anything.
Yeah. The leg press is great for the porn videos.
Do you have a that much square footage because you live in a state where that is affordable?
Well, I bought. Yeah, I mean, I've been in this house for 15, 16 years. This is like a 900 square foot garage that was added on, I guess, from the previous owners. He worked on cars, and then maybe 3 years ago, I actually got it finished. It took years before I could, afford to get it finished.
Yeah.
So now it's temperature control, but I'd be working out here in like winter gloves.
I remember that.
Like that you'd be shoveling in.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. You were like slumming it in there, and now it's actually like a lap of luxury in that garage.
Which made me soft. That's why I've barely worked out in the past year. It's ruined me. Me.
Well, that's the thing about like the kind of lifestyle choices where I don't suffer, seasonally here whatsoever. I mean, if we have a day where it's cloudy, I'm depressed and like wanting to kill myself, where I was like, realizing when I lived in Western New York, which, has a very long sustained winter and just like totally out of shape, drinking a lot, just like doing whatever I could just to get by. I didn't recognize until I lived out here how truly, affected I am by the weather.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it fuels you, it's like we're solar panels. And so if we don't get enough of that shit, we can really lose power for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the stuff I talk about a lot, just connecting with nature and how important that is. And all these people, they don't think it's that big of a deal. And then all of a sudden that first day of daylight savings, you get the extra sunlight. You're like, ooh, or that first day it starts to feel warm. You're like, ooh. And if people could just recognize how much these things really do affect us instead of just being in denial about it or just staying inside all day.
Well, I think you're also just we're kind of perpetually, I say we, and I'm talking about people other than the three of us who are, fit beyond belief. But the idea that you're just kind of at this baseline, not feeling well most of the time, that to actually feel well isn't something most people experience. And so you can kind of just stay in that like latent shitty feeling all the time where you're fatigued and you're, and our world, kind of helps with that because you can just sit on the couch and be on your phone. No one's like, there's not a lion coming. You got to get up and fight it or anything. We're just we can live in this very comfortable existence and everything is provided for us through this device. And it's just, we're weak. We're a weak species currently. We need that aliens to come and just kind of clear us out.
I'll take I want the meteor to land right on. I want to watch the meteor land on me. That's what I want.
I don't know that it's going to target New Jersey. It's going to want to save at least some of the decent pizza on the East Coast. I think if anything, it lands in like Maryland.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys watch the any of the documentaries about like if aliens are really coming here, why would they go to these obscure places instead of like going to the big cities and blah blah blah? Because all the sightings are out in the middle of nowhere. And do you guys know what the explanation for that is? This is really interesting.
Landing patch.
No, it's where nuclear energy is. When you look at all the maps of like where the most sightings are, they're in areas that have like nuclear power. It was interesting.
Totally
that's what they're attracted to. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Well, have you guys seen the I don't know, like those the angler fish with the ones that are like
Mhm.
deep sea. Well, one apparently had popped up like either a few weeks or a few months ago, and those things never come to the surface unless they die and somehow they end up that high. And there was another snake-like fish that's also like a bottom dweller that's more than a mile down. And every time that these fish have been sighted at the top of the surface level of the sea, there's always been some type of natural disaster to follow. Tsunami, earthquake, and in all the spots that have popped up over the past like years, they can track it back to then there was a natural disaster shortly after. And they just found two of these fucking things in Mexico. And here I am in San Diego being like, shit, what's fucking coming? I knew this was too good to be true. I moved out here in this blissful climate, and now I'm
Yeah.
about to get fucking eradicated by some wave that's going to come and hit me.
Yeah, it's possible. That's the risk we take for these rewards of just absolute beauty. You're like, okay, at any point, this could just fall off into the ocean, or you could live in stability like Jimmy's does and be like miserable under the cloudy, drone filled skies.
I don't appreciate the judgment of my emotional status, Daren.
But so Aram, you grew up in Jersey or on the Eastern Seaboard?
Connecticut. So I was I was always
go ahead, Aram. Tell them where you were born. All right.
I was born in Russia, but
there we go.
I moved to the United States. I was moved to the United States in '89, and I just settled in Connecticut. Was there until 2021, and probably similar to you. Like I always had that like desire to leave, and I had been visiting Southern California for like 6 years. And when my business basically was like, oh, I can probably go remote. I'll figure this out. I got a little bit of money saved up, and I did. And like what you said was so spot on, dude. And I think that that's the one thing that people miss is like, people bitch about rent prices here or whatever else. I'm like, I'll fucking pay $3,400 a month to live in perpetual 70-degree, no humidity weather, because my mindset, my emotional state, everything is, my quality of life is just wildly better than it ever was I'm sure you remember on the East Coast, if there's a day like this out, like you're sprinting outside to get 5 minutes of it.
Yep.
Whereas here, you're like, oh, I can jerk off all day long and it'll still be like this tomorrow. Yep. I can be okay with that. Do you ever feel bad about not going outside when it's nice out in California? Because
to your point is pretty consistent, so I don't feel as guilty. And honestly, when a cloudy day comes, I'm like, I get to feel cozied up. But and to the idea of like paying for what would be comparatively an exorbitant amount of rent, in anywhere else in the country. I'm not only paying for this house that I'm in right now, I'm paying for that outside. I go outside and take advantage of it. So to me, it's not, you're paying, rent isn't just in the house you live, it's the city you live in and the state you live in. So to me, it's like, it's worth the money. Like it's always like, well, you could go out to fucking bullshit Texas and get a McMansion for, just as much money. What do you do outside of the McMansion? Get on the freeway in Dallas and like, it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. After college, I got in a car with a buddy and drove and moved to San Diego. Mm-hmm. And I remember being out there and thinking, like, you don't need a lot of house.
Yes, right.
To live out there. Like there was, I don't know, 4 of us packed into like a 2 or 3 bed or whatever that we were in. And I'm just like, this is all I need because you're just spending all your time outside. Where here, it's like, I want a little bit more space. I mean, my house is a very normal, regular split level house. It's not some like monster. I just happen to have this dope ass garage. But you don't need it all when you're out there because you have outside. It's a great point.
I've never understood the need for like these large houses or these extravagant cars. And like, I guess I was surrounded, Daren, I was in finance for like 7 years out of college. Okay. So I was exposed to that like Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle. And I kind of got a little bit of like, I don't know, I got a taste of it and it did bring some allure to me, but then I realized very quickly, like it's so surface level and it's such bullshit that none of the money ever came with anything good. It was always like the more I made, the more I spent and the more empty I felt. Yeah. As opposed to now where it's like I'm earning my living in a way that I like earning it, helping other people. I don't spend nearly the amount of money I spent back then and I make way more now. And it's such a more fulfilling lifestyle. And I just don't understand why people just have this fucking ridiculous rat race idea in their head that they have to just keep acquiring more shit.
It's because they don't have peace within. Because when you have peace within, there's peace throughout. It's part of the sticker packet.
Well,
and that's the reality, though.
It's interesting that you had that experience and you got to experience that like firsthand. And I think to your question, I imagine is that a lot of people, the majority of the people haven't gotten to that, like, man, I got all the money I need. I bought all the shit I need. And now that's in that I learned that I don't need all this stuff. And so people are so just behind it or even really far behind it that they chase the idea of that thinking and convincingly so, because the corporate America has convinced you when you do have all the amount of things, then you will be happy. And so I think it's the desire to acquire those things versus not all of us haven't gotten to that level of acquisition of it. And like, yes, this finally makes me happy. We're going to always, the goal line is just always moving an inch every single day. And you're like, just that, that it plays on our ego and it plays on our desire for getting to, I just need to get a little bit more and then I got it. But it's amazing that you got to experience that. And I hope I did someday too, learn that all the money in the world doesn't make me happy. Just, I would love just give me all the money in the world and then I'll make that decision. But I'm still like, because money is safety. Money isn't money to me. Money is safety. Money is like a sense of like, everything's okay. And I tie way too much of it into that. And I had, in the past couple of years, I had the most money I've ever had in my entire life. The business was doing really well. Through COVID, it just like, it exploded. And I was like, had a number in my bank account that I never thought was possible. And I was just like, that's it, and foolishly, like it was not, it's, compared, it's all relative, but I was just like, I'm done. Like I've made it all. And it was not really that much. And then I got a divorce and most of it went away and it continued to go away as, the financial kind of the obligations that come with that sort of separation happen. And then the pendulum swung all the way back to this side of scarcity. And I was just like, oh shit, now I don't have the money. But in that time, I maintained the happiness of like, okay, where can you take money out of this? And money, because most of the time, like we're talking right now, money has no relevance in this conversation, unless you're going to bill me or I'm going to bill you for this. And you're like, how much is this guy charging? $10,000 to be on his podcast? It doesn't matter. So like, there's so much throughout the day. And this is what I had to learn the hard way is just like, dude, you can spend 23 and a half hours of the day if you want, not thinking about money. And if you want to choose, then be like, all right, half an hour, get the bank account out, maybe do some budgeting or whatever. But it's just largely like, it doesn't really, really matter. And I make it matter way more than I need to.
Can you talk about that time? Because I think it's going to be a very helpful discussion, especially for our audience, because people will go through that financial hardship or people will lose, a relationship and they'll have to recover and find a new way to think about themselves and a new, better, whatever identity. How are you able to maintain that level of happiness throughout some of what sounds like some shitty occurrences?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when it comes down to just the most radical personal responsibility. So no blaming. No one is to blame for anything that's occurring inside of you. And Jim, you can pull the sticker sheet up again, peace within, peace throughout. So the peace within comes from, for me, is practices that are required in order to keep that peaceful mind state. I had shit swirling around me that I could have easily been like, it's all because of that I feel this stress or this sadness or this anger. All that shit's going to always be around. It just comes in at, various kind of heightened levels throughout your life. And so if you can acknowledge there's bullshit around you all the time, and like, not to go off on a side task here, but with what's going on in the world and in this country right now, and people will say, what a privileged point of view, but you can turn off the fucking news all day long and go out your door and like the Nazis aren't coming to get you or the liberals aren't trying to take away your gut. Like that shit's not really, really happening. You can give it so much attention and believe that it's happening to the point that you fucking kill yourself, like stress yourself out. And so to my point is like, how much shit could I cut out of my awareness? And within that's where I got sober from alcohol and just like that. What an amazing thing. I mean, I look handsomer because I gave up alcohol. Like what an immediate benefit. Like I got a jawline back and I shed a bunch of needless pounds and I'm not feeling shitty on a regular basis from poisoning myself. And so that was huge. And then started a meditation practice, which was fucking vital, to check in twice a day in a meditation where I close my eyes for 20 minutes and just let my mind just fucking have at it and do all the scary things and tell me all these awful things about myself. And as I do that more and more and more, I separate from that and I recognize, oh, that's just happening on its own. That's doing its own thing. I'm over here in this like observer, like, wow, you're kind of going crazy there a little bit, aren't you? I'm not the crazy. I'm observing the crazy. So that's another thing. And then fucking exercise, man, running, just like running that energy out, where otherwise I could sit here on my phone and just flick and doom scroll and be angry or blame, or like just do all this shit. That's all it is just like, it's not expelling the energy. It's not exercising the energy. And so when you have, I mean, stress is just a buildup of that energy. And so just getting fucking well with myself. And I had a therapist who I had for over 6 years. And that was, I mean, another thing, which is not something that everybody can have, but the two things that I list are meditation and exercise. That shit's free, man. So I don't want to hear anything other than you can go for a long run or just a vigorous walk, other than sitting here scrolling on fucking CNN or wherever, you know. So like it's responsibility. Like, take fucking care of yourself, because it's just so easy to blame and say this person did that, or the fucking Donald Trump, fucking suck my ass, Donald. He's not doing anything to me. Granted, I'm a straight white male, so not a lot of things affect me in that sort of world.
Same.
I know I have to check my privilege, but I also like to believe that even someone who's the most disenfranchised person, yeah, maybe things are happening to them, but they can also probably find some stillness and quietness in their life, so they're not so burdened by these ideas in their mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's the input. I 100% agree. And just like, I mean, the analogy of nutrition, like everything, you put too much in your mouth, you're going to get fat.
Yep.
You're putting too much in your freaking brain from watching all this stuff. It's going to mess you up.
Yep.
And yeah, we've talked about that before. When you don't physically burn that energy off, the energy has to go somewhere because it's in you and it's going to get stuck in your head.
Yep.
And that's what people are doing. And I love that you referenced you're the observer of your thoughts. I think that's been one of the bigger things that has helped me, is recognizing I am not my thoughts. I'm the observer of my thoughts.
Yes.
And you can just kind of learn to see those thoughts, hear those thoughts, and just, okay, I'm observing these thoughts. You know, it's just a totally different perspective when you get there.
Yeah, and all that stuff is, all that stuff is informed from our entire life up into this very moment. And so you can give yourself so much grace to be like, yeah, I had a dad who was kind of neglectful and shitty. And so like, take that and just like you can kind of start doing the checklist of like, why am I thinking these thoughts right now? Oh, right. Because I've lived 40 plus years of gaining all this perspective to right now. And so in this right now moment, you can choose the moment past that. Like, the past is the past and does inform a lot, but it shouldn't have to inform this present moment, where you get this choice every moment to be like, nah, I'm not going to believe that old story. And being in like a relationship is so helpful. I've been seeing this beautiful, sweet woman for a couple of years now. And just this like kind of radical desire to change the ways that I've been throughout my entire life, especially in like intimate relationships where all the like craziest, parts of yourself come out, or all the little triggered moments and stuff, and getting to have that and choosing that, not being like, oh, you know what, this relationship's too hard, I'm out of here. Being like, okay, there's some hard shit coming up. I don't want to keep perpetuating it. I'm going to stay in it and just see the beauty for what it is when you can actually be challenged and face. I think a lot of us, I'll admit to quitting on a lot of things in my life because it's too hard or too scary, or it brings up some shit. And so just being like, trying to be more mature, I'll be 42 in a couple months. I have a 6-year-old. I'm like a fucking dad. I'm a business owner. Like, I have responsibilities. I have things to take care of. I love my life. I want to do what I can to continue to perpetuate that life. Again, just like we are responsible for our fucking selves, man. This is our vessel right here. And this is it. I don't think there's any stickers to reference on that one, but something like that.
Find a sticker, goddammit.
Slow the fuck down. What's the rush?
Yeah.
People are rushing, they need to slow their minds down. They need to start observing.
Well, think about one of the most fundamental ways that we've used our own human brain against ourselves, right? Like, whether it's prison, whether it's POW, whatever, what do they do? What's the worst form of punishment? Leaving a human being in a room by themselves with no nourishment, no light, whatever, just their own thoughts. And that could also be the worst thing in the world, or it could be the best thing in the world, depending on what you extract from it. And admittedly, like, I've certainly attempted meditation practices and I've found my own ways to do it. Masturbating is one. That's wildly meditative.
That's meditation. That's different. Around.
It lasts for 40 seconds and it works. But no, like, in all seriousness, like, it's not an easy thing to do, to explore what's going on inside your mind without it taking you places that you don't want to go. But what I think what Daren said that was wildly important was that you still have agency over that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because it's playing whatever movie it is doesn't mean that you have to watch it and believe it. But I think a lot of people really truly believe that the chaos, anarchy, and problems that are existing between their ears are real.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's not at all the magnitude that you give it. And just by allowing yourself to step away from that for a couple of minutes every day might start to make you more resilient towards it. So when shit does pop up and life does get hard, you're not a fucking bag of a mess.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the projection element of our mind is we project into the future because we think we know I know it's going to happen. This happens every single time. And you're reacting to that in this moment. And this is literally right as I'm talking these words. This is the only thing that exists. There is no future and there's been no past. These are constructs of our mind. And so for us to react to something that's going to happen, or that always happens, or here you are looking back to the past, where every single moment you have an opportunity to be like, this is a new moment. This has literally never happened before. And it's just our ego wants to be like, no, I fucking know what's going to happen, man. This happens all the time. And so then you're like, oh, okay, great. So you've just, thank you, Jimmy.
Joy is now.
That's right.
Joy is now.
That one is so old. And I still make money off that thing. And I guess just, timelessness to these phrases that I've kind of co-opted or come to my own throughout my spiritual practices of like, yeah, it's another simple way of just saying like, be here now, or any of these things that have just been said in any number of ways, and they're true. I'll quote Jesus for a moment. The kingdom of heaven is now. Is just like, this can be heavenly. Like when I do podcasts from time to time, and I often, like when I'm in conversation with people, I recognize like, I come out of it, I'm like, whoa, like that was presence. Like we're talking, I got to listen to you, you got to listen to me in order to respond. And we're in this fucking moment right now. And this dialogue we're having is like it. And I'm kind of just like, I trip out on these things. And I think because most of the time my days are very solitary. I don't have coworkers or anyone that I really work with. And so to have to kind of curate these experiences, I spend way too much fucking time on my phone getting distracted, or I'm on a computer a lot. And so like, it's just these weird kind of artificial things. And I appreciate being able to like have a conversation where we're just like, no one knows I don't know what you're about to say. You don't know what I'm about to say. It's presence. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I was picture when you're in the moment, that's eternity.
Yes.
There is no thinking about anything in the future. When you're in it, that's just eternal.
Yeah.
Like that, like when you said heaven is now, that's how I view a lot of things when it comes to the Bible, that heaven or hell is our experience here on earth, not
right.
afterwards.
Yes.
And being present, it creates the heaven.
Yeah. And I've never gotten into it, but I hear people speak of like the flow state, whether it's surfing or mountain biking or doing anything like really, really intensely requiring your presence. And I get why people kind of get off on that experience of like, holy shit, if I let go of this moment for 1 second, I'm going off the side of this mountain, or I'm going, into this wave that's going to like kill me. And so without having to get super, kind of adrenaline junkie version of it, it makes sense to me that we've developed this ability to be present in our experiences, and probably throughout our evolution of like, you imagine being a hunter-gatherer and being like, oh man, last week that was so embarrassing when I stubbed my toe on that rock, and that fucking lion comes and grabs you. Like, you got to stay present, like that's why we can smell things and hear things and sense things around us, but we've gotten so cut off from that shit. Look at going to like a grocery store or a mall or anywhere where everyone's head is down in their phone and you're walking into people, or like, we are so out of it, man.
All the time with my son, whenever we are in a waiting room, like at the doctor or the dentist, me and him are the only ones not on the phone.
Yes.
And I'm like, look around. And he just sees it. And he's like, yeah, it's like parents looking down, their kid right next to them looking down. Mm-hmm. Every single person. And those in those places, I purposely don't
for sure
look at my phone. I'll still end up looking every now, whatever. But I'm not sitting there with my head down staring at my phone in those situations. I almost want people to look around and be like, this dude's just sitting there?
Yeah. Yeah, what's wrong with this? You're the odd man out now. Like,
I'm the odd man. Yeah. But I'm like instilling that in my son to not always be staring at a device.
There's a guy, and I don't know what his name is or when he said it, but it's far before technology. The technology we have now is probably early 1900s. This guy said all of humanity's problems stem from the inability to sit quiet in a room alone. And you just described that situation perfectly. Like the fact that they're just, and he said this, and then like, what was he talking about? Cause like, what were people doing to like, I mean, we're always kind of perpetually distracting ourselves. And like for my dad, you know, like his distraction was alcohol. It's another way of just kind of getting out of the moment. Like, to sit somewhere and not be able to have a drink in your hand and like do that kind of like nervous, you know, and okay, now I'm calm because I'm a little bit inebriated. That a lot of us are always seeking something that's going to pull us out of the moment. And I love that idea of you guys just sitting.
Yeah, we just sit.
Just sitting there. Yeah.
Sometimes we're talking and sometimes just looking around at people and just pointing it out.
Yeah.
What was like the turning point for you? Like, what would you say was your awakening moment?
Psychedelics were pretty.
I was gonna ask if you had replaced booze with anything, but here we go.
Well, he said he was sober from alcohol, so he made it pretty clear.
Yeah,
Sober
exactly.
from alcohol,
and they call that California sober.
California
I'm
sober.
California sober. You don't drink, but you can do pretty much anything else, really.
So was it like one psychedelic experience that kind of launched it off, or was it doing it? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I lived in the Bay Area before I moved down here, ayahuasca came into the kind of the lexicon, and I heard about it, and it was just like, what in the hell is this? And watched some YouTube videos and kind of did, you know, some generic research, quote unquote, and found, oh shit, this is something that I want to try out. And I think at the time I recognized that I was seeking something. Like I didn't know where I'm trying to seek spirituality or seek God or I just knew something was missing in my life. And the way I think is like, oh, if I can take some drugs, that'll be the thing that helps me find this. And so really what ended up happening was being kind of this atheistic, maybe a little bit more agnostic of just like, I don't know, man, I'm not really sure, to drinking ayahuasca once and being like, oh, there is something. I mean, it's not God. It's not the white robed bearded man God. It's just an energy. It's a life force. It's an intelligence. It's a connection between all of us in this way that I just hadn't ever experienced prior to that. I mean, alcohol doesn't get you there. Alcohol does not make you feel like, man, we're all,
you're not connected with alcohol.
No, exactly. It's
the first couple drinks, you're like, hey, let's all hang out.
Yeah.
It's
you're just a little bit more, you know, you're less self-conscious, but I think to get to a place where you're conscious, like really conscious. Like I remember when it first took hold and the room transformed into what I can only describe as like, oh, this is heaven. And now to your earlier point, Jimmy, of like heaven and hell being constructs that have been kind of put in our minds as like, it's a real place with pearly gates or it's a fiery place down below. No, heaven is like presence. And when that medicine, as it's known, took hold, I experienced presence for the first time where I was like, not like, oh man, what, you know, nothing other than this moment. And it took hold in a way that was like, I mean, close to orgasmic, where my body was just like alive. I could feel every cell in my body and everything looked so beautiful. And I felt love. I was saying the word wow. And like the word was like coming out of my mouth. And it was just this insane experience. And from there, I did it like a couple dozen times over the course of a couple of years. And
did you travel somewhere for that?
No, it was always in the Bay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty prevalent there and it's pretty accessible. And so it was always usually with the same group for a number of times. And so I got to know the people and kind of come to expect as much as you can expect in an experience where it's going to be completely fucking different every single time. And in that point I was starting to draw and illustrate. And then my whole style changed and became much more influenced by that kind of like psychedelic, weird kind of, you know, just esoteric sort of space. And so it was really largely artistically influential, and this also helped me just recognize, like, I used to just be so comfortable being an atheist and be like, there's nothing, man, nothing, you die, we have no reason to be here. That shit is cold and cut off, and like it's so much funner to be like a kind of a hippie and be like, yeah, we're all connected. I still don't really know what that means, and I often that's a real hard one to be like, we're all the same person. Like I see you and me and you see me and you, because we all just, you know, we have our egos still, and we're just like, no, the ego needs separation in order to survive. And when that dissolves and you go like, oh no, we're all from this collective consciousness, we're the expression of the universe, all these very lofty, very psychedelic
I
things.
know. It's so funny because it's like, I struggle just casually saying like, it's the collective conscious. Cause I'm just, it's like the teacher in me, like, I'm not just going to use these phrases and these terms. But for anybody, I mean, my description of like the collective conscious is like a sprinkler system. There's underground is all the connection, all the water. And then it's going to come out of one of the nozzles.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be something that is said by somebody, and somebody else like, I was thinking the same thing. And people are so afraid to share what they're thinking because they don't recognize other people have the same thought. They haven't said it. You just need to be that sprinkler head that opens up and lets that message come out. It's all there, but some are jammed up. And the message isn't going to come out, and they're not going to receive the message.
Saying before we recorded, I was just speaking to the idea that I try, or not try, it's not even like trying. It's not like I'm setting out like, okay, this morning I'm going to be really open, honest, and vulnerable. Like that shit just comes out of me. And so I am one of those kind of like gushing sprinkler heads of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I have no idea. I'm like perpetually concerned about my safety via financial stability and all these ways that I give voice to certainly like in our generation or my generation is like, we don't have like mentors or elders or anyone. Like I kind of feel like we're this generation that we got the internet, and the internet is this wild ass place. It's like where you're like, you have to kind of go in and discern what's right. We are all connected, but we're also disconnected. It's just like a fucking bizarre artificial reality that got created, and we're the children of that. And so we're so on our own. Like the amount of things I don't know how to do in this world or understand. I still don't know what. I went to my dentist and they were like, we can't accept you anymore because you're a PPO and we need an HMO. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I still don't know what that means. Like, I got to go find a dentist that's a PPO. I don't know what they do, HMO, like all these things where I'm like, nobody taught me this shit. I feel like such a fucking child. And also it's, we're in a space where we get to kind of craft this whole frontier where like all that, like anything that our parents existed in with phone books and telephones and very like analog systems, like we're talking bitcoins and NFTs and shit. We're just making shit up as we go along. And so honestly, that's a fun thing. Like I can see how far my mom's fallen behind in terms of keeping up. And now I have a almost 7-year-old who's going to be like teaching me shit as we get older, because none of this shit existed and we get to kind of make it up as we go along. So as disempowered as I sometimes feel in the old system, the old structure of down payments and equity and all these things, like it's also like I get to be a fucking goofball, man. I get to just like make people laugh or hopefully make people think. And so I feel like extremely gifted and privileged to be this sprinkler that like fucking waters the lawn. Yeah. I think that's why I really connected with your stuff when I came across you. The way that you just talked in your posts. And then obviously if you don't know Real Fun Wow, he got a little popular, a lot of attention with the therapist. Yeah. If I was a therapist, that first therapist one was I love the first, if I was a therapist one, I was like, this is fucking great. Cause I'm a teacher and I'm like, as you're responding to stuff, I'm like, these are things that sometimes I'm just thinking at work during the day. But those were, those were good. That's why that worked, because it's like comedy it works best when it's relatable. And cause if I'm up here talking about like, oh, I'm so rich and isn't it so hard to be rich? People are like, I don't understand that at all. But to be in the position where I guess therapists, which I didn't even realize, and thank you for pointing that out, is like therapists can also be teacher or instructor. It doesn't have to be, it's just about the idea of like working with other people and having these thoughts in your head. We're like, man, this motherfucker is crazy. I can't say this. I'm trying to be professional. So I'm giving, again, I'm giving voice to where people are like, God, I wish I could say that. And that shit is so bizarre because, you're holding up my sticker sheet with my art on it and my choice of topography and this very like artistic design centric thing. And then out of nowhere, I put out a funny fucking video that has nothing to do with my artwork, nothing to do with any of the brand about Real Fun Wow. And it goes viral. And I'm like, motherfucker, like why couldn't it be my sticker sheet that got 1.5 million views and I sell 1 million stickers? And so I'm in this weird spot of just like, now what the fuck do I do? I've done 5 of those therapist videos because it is fun and I'm happy to do it. Like again, back to like, well, I enjoy it and you guys enjoy it. Great. And there's been people who are like, oh, I discovered the therapist video and then discovered that you make art, because they don't really go together at all. And so ultimately having no business plan and no one's like, again, telling me like, hey, cut it out with the silly videos, focus on the art, so I just do whatever the fuck I want. And if it hits, it hits. Yeah.
Well, was it from actually even though you have no strategy, if you were to talk to anybody who was a marketing professional, they would tell you that that's called top of funnel marketing.
Oh,
So
nice.
what that's doing is it's bringing eyeballs to your page, which is making people interested in whatever content you have, whatever things you have to offer. And you're not even intentionally trying to do that, but that's really what the internet or sales or anything is. It's just, can we get enough eyeballs on us to build rapport, to build trust? And then once that trust and rapport is built, what do we have to offer those individuals who are still hanging around? Because most people are going to be pedestrians and they're just going to stop in and say what's up, or not say shit and just watch what you're doing. Some people are actually interested enough to then want to have you on a podcast. And then there's going to be the very small percentage of people who are going to be like, I like this guy. He's awesome. I'm going to always show up to his page, and I'm going to support his page by buying shit from him. And that's the game we're all playing on this internet, social media sales thing that we're doing. I'm very much like you, man. I have no plan. I put out a fucking video yesterday of me putting hemorrhoid cream on my hemorrhoid. And I did it in the style of like the get ready with me thing, because I just fucking hate that stupid fucking trend. And I expected it to do whatever it did, and it was just funny.
Right.
And people, and like most of my audience, like if you look at the stats on it, it was 98.9% of my following that saw it, and almost nobody else.
Yeah.
Now, most content creators would be like, "Oh fuck, nobody else saw it. I'm not going to make any money. What's the point?" For me, I'm like, I just brightened up 13,000 people's day today.
Yep.
Great. That's, if I showed up and I did nothing but that every fucking day, how is that not fulfilling?
Totally. Right. I mean, the metrics and the insights and shit as a creator or as a business person are so like, they kill you because you then have some idea of relativity of like, oh, it should be this. And like the gall or the audacity that I kind of catch myself with sometimes, where I'm like, so 1.5 million views on the therapist video. And then you look at, you go deeper into the insights and you're like 2%, not even that 2%, 0.5% of that 1.5 actually watched the entire thing. Now that number is, let's just say it's 10,000 people. Oh, 10,000 people, only 10,000 people watched it. And so it's like, it's ridiculous because it's back to the old thing of, like we were saying earlier, of just like, well, the car's not shiny enough or big enough. It's always like, and so just coming back to a moment of like whole gratitude of just like, holy shit, 10,000 people watched it. And so, yeah, it's just all designed to keep us in that feeling of inadequacy, and that we're, like keep going. And the I don't know if it's not, I don't think it's intentionally patronizing, but this fucking platform of like, here's how to get, make sure you make the first 3 seconds of your video compelling, because people bail. And so I made a video where I was like talking and saying, so it turns out most of you guys are going to be out of here, and and I've already talked for 3 seconds, and then go, okay, great. Now that they're gone, let's get real, because that's a shitty feeling for anyone to be like, you got to be so like, hey, fuck. I feel like I said where it's like you're on the side of a highway, being like, hey, look at my art, and a car goes by, and maybe one of those 10,000 pull over to take a look, and that it's soul sucking. And so I guess as much time as you can alleviate yourself of being like, I got to be amazing on social media, that doesn't necessarily equate to what you're doing. Because when you think of the schlubs who are just sitting on their couch fucking flicking through, those aren't the people who are engaged. And to your point of saying like the ones who do that kind of funnel system of like getting down to a number that feels like, I fucking love your shit and I'm always going to check in on it, and accepting the fact that most of the people are pedestrians and are just like next and fuck them. So yeah.
I mean, that's how creating content for me is fun. And it's so funny, like in especially in the coaching industry, it's such a massive stressor for people. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, I'm like, the reason why you're stressed out is because you're trying to keep up with all the Joneses here. You're trying to make your content pretty. You're trying to make it look edited. It's taking you 4 hours to do all these props and all this bullshit. I fucking taped fake fingernails onto my hands. I went in the bathroom, and while I was shitting, I put the phone on the fucking shower door, filmed it, filmed myself in front of the mirror, and 45 seconds later, it was made imperfectly, and that's all it took. And like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be forgotten. It's just going to get.
It's already forgotten. Yeah. That's it. It's out in the ether. It's gone already. And now it's like, well, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, for sure.
But that goes back to the beginning of this conversation: is doing things that you want to do, pursuing what you're passionate about, doing what you want to do, versus I'm doing this to get this outcome.
Yeah.
Like the amount of, from being a teacher for almost 25 years, and the amount of students that it's like, oh, what are you going to school for? Business. Why?
The fuck
And
is that?
every time they tell me what they're going to school for, I say, why? Why? Because I want to start a business one day. And I'm like, you don't have to go to college to start a business. I go, I own 2 businesses, and I never went to school for business. I went to school to be a teacher. And they're doing this job because it feels financially secure. And they're just going to be miserable
because they've already started to think about the future.
Yep.
Back to the point of us doing these videos and having that moment of like, yeah, I mean, that the amount of times that I, like when I'm editing, just for example, the therapist videos, I'm fucking dying. I'm like laughing. I'm like, okay, then I've won already. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks about this. If I'm laughing at this, then I just spent 2 hours of my day having a good fucking time. Yeah. Yep. And then, you know, wouldn't you know it, that translates too, because no one's seeing like, God, this guy's desperate, man. Look at him making these fucking another one of these videos. And like, it just has a level of confidence. And you, to your point, Amar, is just like, it's Aram. Sorry. No, I dyslexied your name there.
We don't even understand his name when people say it correctly anymore. So when people say it wrong, we're just like, yep, that was right. Yep.
It's just about again, back to as cheesy as it is, staying in the moment and like, and just having fun with it. And I think we all went to high school, and we all like know that feeling of like showing up to school and wanting to look good and wanting to like have other people think a certain way about us. And the social media, man, they just fucking figured that out, and they're killing us with that shit. They're absolutely killing us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm just grateful to be my age when this stuff is out. Yeah. I'm 46, and I don't give a shit. if I post something that's like, this is my thought. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I did these videos, kind of like your therapist one, where making fun of the coaches that are like, fucking grind, it's fucking hardcore, da da da. And it's just me like yelling at the thing and saying stupid shit like, you're not a real man if you don't drink your own piss. And then like I'm fake drinking piss and whatever. And of course these were like one of my biggest ones.
Yes.
And then people are like, you got to keep doing this. I'm like, well, I'm having fun. I think I did maybe 4 or 5 of them. They're like, I don't feel like doing this shit anymore.
Yeah.
I just made them because they were fun. There was a couple specific people online who I'm like, you guys are losers. Just yelling at people like the grind, the hustle, you got the fucking light, the red light, like I don't know. Yeah. And I just had fun with it. It was just fun to do.
Yeah.
Like that's real fun. Wow.
I just wish more people. I mean, I understand stress is stress, hard times are hard times. We're always going to have that. That's just part of being an adult and living the human experience. But I don't think enough people spend enough, just even a few minutes a day, trying to have some gratitude, like you said, Daren, and also just checking in with like, what is it that makes me happy and makes me joyful, to where I can start to actually have some fun with my day and not just be this fucking ball of anxiety constantly waiting for something bad to happen or for the other shoe to drop. And, you know, I work with all adults. I have 105 people who I try to help every single day navigate nutrition and fitness. And the amount of dread and uncertainty and self-doubt that I experience every single day. And it's like, all I'm asking you to do is put nutritious food in your mouth 3 to 4 times a day, which you should want to do without my help. All I'm asking you to do is maybe go move your body for 20 minutes a day, 5 times a week, which you should want to do without my help. Yep. Why is this not fundamentally installed in your system at all? Why is it something you have to pay somebody else to figure out? And
it goes back to what Daren was saying, just like we have such a comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest killer. It's like, why bother? But people are seeking externally for their confidence. They're seeking externally for acceptance from people. That's where like the love of money, if I get enough stuff, then I can be like the big dog on the block, you know, all that. So you're looking externally. So now it's like, if I can get into shape, then people will like me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already coming from a place of not knowing themselves, not taking accountability, which is what Daren was saying with their life. I think it's just this unhappiness, which has existed forever. Now it just seems it's like so palpable, like with social media and the rat race and people's jobs, everybody's inside under fluorescent lights. You know, it's just brutal.
Well, it's like what you brought up earlier about the idea of like a POW camp or solitary confinement or something like that. It's kind of a bit of a thought experiment, and it's a little bit kind of nihilistic. But imagine if you were in solitary confinement, God forbid. and you have no one to impress, and you have nothing exterior to look towards or to compare yourself against, or to hold up against, like, if I was only this, I'd be this. And just sitting there and being like, holy shit, I am solely responsible for my happiness or my sadness. Will I choose sadness? Well, no, that doesn't feel good. Okay, well, then I can choose happiness. Like, it is really, there is so much choice. And again, you said earlier, agency around the ways that we think. Because again, if you're like, that guy across the street's got a fucking Mercedes and I want a Mercedes, now you've just given yourself this kind of comparative thing that you're going to chase forever. Well, shit, he got the 2026 Mercedes, you're just never going to catch up. And so, like, I guess that kind of almost solitary confinement of your mind, if like you can cut out as much superfluous extra bullshit around you and just be like, what are the things that make me happy? And not like, what are the things that are going to make me happy based on the number of views, or like, this is all, we're not the first people having these conversations. Fortunately, people are talking about it, and you guys get to fortunately make a living based on the fact that people are kind of catching up to this slowly or need guidance, and God bless them. It's just like, we all kind of we got shoved into this world that now is really kind of designed against us in terms of things we're fighting against, which is social media comparison. I mean, we carry this thing with us all the fucking time. I'm holding up my phone. That is just like, it's brutal to us. It does not help us. It's not making us feel better. It's keeping that line of comparison open all the time. And these little reward systems we get of little notifications and things that let us know we're okay. And that it's tough. We're fighting a real uphill battle here for sure.
Oh, it's funny. I had a woman today. I posted something about how, like, you're not addicted to sugar. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not standing on the fucking corner waiting for your M&M dealer to show up.
I appreciate the sentiment of you're not addicted to sugar, but everybody who says that you're addicted to sugar, you're not standing on a street corner sucking dick to get sugar. It's like, yeah, because I could get it at the store. If I could get crack at the store, I wouldn't be sucking dick for crack.
It's really, I mean,
like,
we've both bought drugs before, Jimmy, and it's not that hard. Let's be honest. But just that fundamental lack of self-responsibility to the second you pathologize an addiction, I'm now powerless to it. And I just find that rhetoric to be so short-sighted, because yes, sugar is tasty. Yes, desserts exist for a really specific reason. And yes, they can be enjoyed in moderation. So it's not that you're addicted to it. It's you like the way those things make you feel because you're fucking human. I get it. But being powerless to it because you construct that language of addiction or powerlessness is because you've created that problem.
And how convenient is it that you get to be like, well, I'm addicted. Right. That's why I have it. Like what?
Yeah, the labels. Yeah, the labels are brutal when a kid is told or anybody's told, like, oh, you have anxiety. Yes. Now it's up. It's just something I have to deal with, instead of I'm experiencing anxiety. Right. Whenever somebody says, like, I have anxiety, I'm like, do you have anxiety or you experience anxiety? It's two different things, which goes back to like the observation of thoughts and all that. Because if you're experiencing anxiety, then you'd be open to a tool that would help you with that experience. Yeah. If you have anxiety, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I am anxious is a hell of a statement for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come up with the name? I love like the quick segue. That's not a segue at all. Did you come up with the name Real Fun Wow after your ayahuasca experience? Because you were saying how you just saw the word wow coming out.
I can remember the chronology of it now, but no, those kind of were almost just a happy coincidence. The name came up through something that my ex had said in passing that was just like a little quip. And I just, one of those kind of, I don't know if it's the sprinkler moment, but I just was like, oh, that just sounded like interesting. And I kind of grabbed it and yeah, just like one of those moments of like, it's not a super interesting origin story. And I think I feel like I have a propensity towards catching things that would otherwise kind of go unnoticed. And I like to pay attention to the degree where I'm like, that's fucking hilarious, or that's really interesting or really unique. I always find people saying things where I'm like, it's a memoir title right there. Just like these weird little turns of phrases or things like that. And so just like, I love talking. I love listening. I love like language and the ways that we these little idiosyncrasies of the way that we say things and all that sort of stuff. And so like, I always like, anytime I have an idea for a project or something like that, it won't go anywhere until I come up with a name or a title for it. Like, I'm like, yes, there we go. Okay. And then first thing I'll do is go on Instagram and see if the username is available. And if it's not, I'm like, never mind. I don't know if I can't, I'm not doing an underscore. I'm not doing a number at the end of it. If I can't have the full name, then fuck it. But yeah, it's just, it's fun to do that kind of stuff. And even just the play on Real Fun Wow. Like, I'm like, eventually I want to do, if I can never figure it out, like a teaching series, Real Fun How, and like Real Fun Now, the meditation wing of, just like, it's just kind of ever expanding for sure. Yeah.
Look at this
and even
guy.
just taking
I like it.
Using the word wow is just like, we all have a relation to it, and it's easy and it's symmetrical. It's just like, it's beautiful for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And wow, Real Fun would sound sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, people, funnily enough, when they get to know me and they know how sarcastic and cynical I am, they assume that, oh, real fun. Wow. Like, they think it's, but yeah, it's
that's
all
funny.
there.
How long has this been your sole source of income?
Over 8 years, which is insane. Yes. 2017 was like just this kind of weird, I mean, again, I wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to be a professional artist. Like, you don't start the job you don't start at a company as a professional artist. It was moving to Ojai. And at that point I had done enough ayahuasca to then develop my artistic style and draw a lot, and just drawing. And when I moved here, new town, didn't know anybody. I got a job at this little bar in town, and it's really hip. It's kind of epicenter for anyone LA coming, would be at this tiny little bar. And I just was like, I'm going to work here because I want to meet people. And then it was very small and quiet and not often busy. And so I'd often just kind of be drawing on napkins, and then getting to have conversations. Well, where are you from? What do you do? Oh, I draw. And I created these little postcards when I first moved here, these Ojai postcards, because this town has some cachet to it. Like, if you've been here or you visit here, or you've heard of it, people really like it here. So I made these postcards and I just set them out at the bar. Wouldn't say anything about them, and people would just grab this and be like, oh, what's it? I'm like, oh yeah, I drew that. It's got my information on the back. And then these cards started getting mailed out to different people around the country. And I found out they were like so-and-so's refrigerator, and like, oh, my cousin sent me this. And so I did this kind of organic marketing. This is long before I had any sort of social media presence. So it was like this kind of grassroots way of showing my illustration style and having people kind of get to know me in person, and then, basically mail my business card to somebody else. And freelance work started coming in. Oh, can you do because illustrators, like, how many illustrators do you know? It's like kind of a small thing. And at that time I was identifying as an illustrator, not a designer or even an artist. Like, I only just in the past couple of years, I was like, oh, I am an artist. I'll identify as that, as pretentious as it sounds. The illustrator is like real deal to me. And so I used to hand draw everything. And so work started coming in and being like, can you do a band album cover? And I'm like, yeah, that'll be $150. And like, no idea how to do any of this shit. Still, even after all these years, I don't know how to charge for stuff, but it just was that. It's more and more. And then I give away a bar shift and be like, I want to stay home and draw, and bar shift after giving away. And then eventually, like, I was like, hey, I don't think I work here anymore. And the manager's like, yeah, you've like basically given away all your shifts. You no longer work here. And then it was full-time Real Fun Wow. And then it was just still freelance work. And then I was like, oh, wait, if I print out this artwork I'm making, I can sell it as an art print. Look at that. Somebody goes, you should put this on a t-shirt. I can put this art on a t-shirt. And it just was these like kind of light bulb moments all along the way of like, how can I continue to expand? And then you get to coffee mugs and like rugs and all these things that you can just keep doing that, like, just once I've created this body of work, like even that Joy Is Now print is like fucking almost 6 or so years old. I can still use that, And so creating this huge body of work that is kind of timeless, and just getting to keep working and using it. And then all along the way with Instagram, getting more, as that was the time when that was the fucking gold rush of like chronological feed. So everybody's seeing things in the order they want.
I wish we had that back.
They're seeing the people they follow, it was just like, that's when it was just like, this is what we signed up for, not even knowing what the fuck this platform was. It was like, we connect with each other, and, oh, I like your shit, I'm going to follow you, and I will see your shit when you post it. Yes. And none of this pay to play marketing or getting throttled or your stuff getting hidden. And so at that point, my work was getting reposted a lot. So a lot of just like literal screenshot on a big brand's account, and then this huge influx of followers. And it just was like this over the years, it was like a full steady climb to hundreds of thousands of followers. And then it plateaued. And it's not until I started doing the therapist videos, it's on the rise again for the first time in like probably 2 years. It was on this like weird kind of almost downward trajectory where I think accounts were getting dumped and like just stuff that was just kind of like falling apart. And now it's like on this upward trend again. And so getting really lucky. Like, I don't know that an artist could get the kind of notoriety that I got at the time that I got it, because it was really had to do with the way the platform was established at that time.
Yeah.
Unless someone's fucking footing the bill for a marketing budget where you can spend $500 a day on Meta and put ad money in and make sure you're getting in front of people, it's just not going to happen organically anymore.
Yeah.
So I got super lucky. And then that's how brands started recognizing me. All the collaborations I've done with like some pretty major brands, all of them reached out to me. I've never been like, hey, can I work with you? And so just right time, right place. And obviously that give a credit to myself of being like, a good artist as well.
Yeah.
So,
and you're looking for help right now, right? Like management type of thing?
Yeah, which is a whole world I've never explored. And it might be this type of thing where I get representation and I'm like, you know what, this doesn't feel good. I'll just go back to kind of doing shit on my own. But the pain point that I talked about, which has been present all these years, is I don't know how to be the guy who's like, okay, so my client, he's fucking great designer, great artist, real irreverent, blah, blah, blah. And we can do this job for $20,000, where I'm like, I go, hi, hello, sir or madam. Yes, I can do this for $1,000, where I'm severely undervaluing myself. I should be sitting real pretty financially right now with the deals that I've gone through, all negotiated myself, just really, really poorly. Yeah.
I'll have to get my buddy Matt. He's like the most followed barbecue account on all of social media. He was just on like Next Level Chef, and he has a manager that does all that stuff. I'll find out.
Yeah, I'm so open, because it's the type of thing where I'm not, again, no blueprint. No one's like, oh, it's this guy. We know what to do with this guy. So it is kind of like, all right, we're not sure where he would fit, who we would work with. And so I just trust that there's people out there who get excited about like, we see your, agents.
They know how to contact people. They know what to charge. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Absolutely.
I should no longer be in my inbox fielding requests after all these years, not to sound pompous, but it's beneath me, and I'm also really bad at it. So
in the meantime,
and humility at the same time there.
In the meantime, I think this would be a really good experiment for you to create a fake name with an email. Yeah. And just have that version of you.
That's
where you're
true.
Like,
right.
Just you need to work with my client, Daren.
Yes. Yeah.
We only charge $20,000 for whatever, get the conversation, and then just do this alter ego.
Yeah, because I talk my emotion into it, where I go, oh, if I say 20,000, they'll be like, get the fuck out of here. Who do you think you are? And I've created a whole story that keeps me at $1,000 of like, I only deserve $1,000 because God forbid, So I like that, even just as like affecting. Maybe I'll do like a viral video of a guy who's like a real, agent.
Yeah. And has anybody ever told you look like Phil Hanley, the comedian?
Is he contemporary? Is he still working?
He's around now. I love him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as we're talking, I'm like, you look like Phil Hanley. You don't sound anything like him.
I get all sorts. When we were doing the podcast, I had a little bit of a bigger beard, and my brother, who's just kind of perpetually high out of his mind, he was like, at the end of the podcast, he's like, dude, you look like Bin Laden so much. I was like, yeah, you can see it. I had a beanie on, it looked like a turban, and I was like, yeah.
Is it
Phil Hanley?
Phil Hanley. I love him. He has like crowd work where he's like always flirting with the audience. Like if somebody's like, is that your husband?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. He always wears a Grateful Dead shirt, always on stage. Okay. His crowd work is great. If somebody like were to interrupt or anything, he'd be like, excuse me, ma'am, I got this.
I don't know this guy. Okay, cool. He's got a special and stuff. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. I think he's great. His crowd work stuff is great.
Cool.
The way that he handles people is awesome. So
nice.
Yeah, you kind of look like him. I like it.
Cool.
There's something else I was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Unless there's anything else. I got to meditate and then go pick up my kid from school. So
I like it, man. I like it.
You don't have to meditate. You get to meditate.
There it is. Exactly.
You choose to meditate.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. And then you'll let you run. Now that you're not in the Bay with all the ayahuasca around you, do you participate in psychedelics now as like any kind of regular like mushrooms or anything like that?
Yeah, it was like once I did ayahuasca, I was like, oh, I've hit the pinnacle. There's no way I could achieve these heights of consciousness and experience without this. And it's expensive, and it's requires taking a weekend off and things that are kind of prohibitive. And then I had my dad was pretty sick with cancer, and I needed to resolve some shit around my relationship with him. And I took not a huge dose of mushrooms, psilocybin, but that's the funny thing about that stuff is like, you don't got to eat a lot. It just really kind of depends on where you're at and what you're calling in. And I had an insanely deep, like ayahuasca level solo psilocybin trip at my house, blindfold, headphones, just kind of gone. Like my body no longer existed. I'm traveling through the cosmos. I'm having these and then I get into the bathtub, which is like fucking just heaven. And like just crying my eyes out, having these processing moments around my parents and my family and my ancestors, just all that shit. So that stuff is very achievable with psilocybin. And that was cool for me, because I was like, oh great, I don't have to plan a weekend. I can have a day where I just do this shit in my bathtub at my house. And so, yeah, I mean, psilocybin is such a strong, amazing medicine. And, people having amazing results with microdosing and using it as means of getting off of SSRIs and all these ways that it's just like, dude, we're also, while we're kind of continually disconnecting socially through so all these kind of digital things, it's cool that the conversation is coming back where it got shoved underground forever for, obvious reasons, where the powers that be don't want us to know these things and connect with these things and stuff.
Yeah, we can't have you be enlightened. We need you to go to war for us.
War, yes. Or just be kind of sitting around on your phone and shopping. Yeah.
Consuming.
Yeah. No, it's so funny you said that, because I'm like, the best ones are blindfold, headphones. And then in the top, I'm like,
what else that's what you like. This world around us right now that we're seeing is not relevant in consciousness, because consciousness is a mental experience. And so to go in there and like pull out all the stuff where you're like, what is the shit I'm telling myself all the time? Because again, like we said, there's not an army marching down the street right now, kicking our doors in and rounding us up. That's the mental army that's kicking our own fucking doors inside of our mind. And so go in there and expose them and see that they're not as scary, or even they're not real anyway. So it's an ongoing experience, and it does take a lot out of you for sure, of just like, man, when you have those moments, and again, not getting to take a week off from your life and kind of get your, having to go back at it a couple of days later is tough. But yeah, that's the work, man.
That's awesome. Aram, you have anything?
No.
He's got to go.
No.
Well, Daren, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and yes, I will be a guest on your brothers podcast, because I want a front row seat to him convincing me that the Earth is flat.
Yeah,
we can team up against them.
Perfect.
I'm going to support him all the way, and I just want to talk to him about the fact that the Grays are coming, and they're very, very well flown.
Yeah, we'll get a Riverside whole roundup situation. We'll
Riverside roundup.
We'll do a roundtable discussion. Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, thanks for reaching out, Jimmy. And I mean, your support does mean a lot. And like, as much as the followership is amazing, when people actually do go, hey man, I see what you're doing, and then even furthermore wanting to be involved in any sort of way, it's kind of what makes all this shit worthwhile. Is like, if we can connect, that's awesome. So
I got your Breathe tapestry.
Right on. Thank you.
I got the sticker pack. I got a tote bag for a woman in my life. And I think the one that says you'll be dead.
Yeah, relax. You'll be dead someday.
You'll be dead someday. I think that's what the message was, with like a beach.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think the tank top.
Right on, man. Cool.
But I got to lose some weight for it to fit me better. Thanks. I got to start running like Daren does. All right. Well, I appreciate you, man. And go visit realfunwell.com.
Thank you.
Right. Subscribe to the Substack, which for whatever reason, when I did subscribe, I cannot find the option to how to do the paid subscription.
My girlfriend had the same fucking thing, man. I'll have to look into that, because that's annoying. But I appreciate you even looking out. And actually this week I have an article coming out about ayahuasca. The title of it is I've done ayahuasca over 30 times and I'm still an asshole.
I like it. So it'll be maybe free since we can't do the paid version. I was trying to support you with that. So, all right, buddy. Well, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you responding to my message and coming on here.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.